Hello again, everyone. So I'm going to continue Detroit week with the Pistons of the NBA. So looking at the Pistons record right now, they're 23 and 40. Tough loss last night to the Lakers, 93-85. They're on a current 7-game losing streak, so hopefully they can turn that around quickly. They've had a fairly up and down season. They only had 3 wins in the whole month of November, and that included a 13-game losing streak that went into December. But then throughout the end of December and into the beginning of January, they had a 7-game win streak. So they're either having extended losing streaks or extended winning streaks. They haven't really been able to have a solid, 3 or 4 game winning streak. Then maybe they lost a couple. Then, it's been a lot of up and down season for them. They got 19 games left on the season, but only 8 of those are home games. So like I said, their record right now is 23 and 40. So based on their season record, hopefully they can get to 30 wins this season. They just need 7 more wins to get to 30, which should mean a 7-12 record to round off the season. And based on their season record, that's kind of what they would probably finish off at. And like I said, they only have 8 home games, so getting to the 30 win seems like it should be doable. But with only having 8 home games left and 19 on the season, it could not happen. But I hope it does, and I think it will for the Pistons, because they do have a lot of great young talent and a team you can build around. Obviously, at the trade deadline, picking up Reggie Jackson in a 3-team deal with the Thunder and the Jazz, a great player for them to have. Jackson showed that when Durant and Westbrook are out, he can step up and he can be the guy, kind of thing. You can look at James Harden for the Rockets, kind of in the same situation. Now that he doesn't have Westbrook and Durant and he plays for the Rockets, he's the guy in Houston. I don't know if Jackson can be the guy for Detroit, but he definitely is a guy that I feel was underutilized in the Thunder and probably didn't have the opportunities to get the ball and make an impact on his team because he was playing with Durant and Westbrook. And to be fair, if you're playing with Durant and Westbrook, you can expect that they're going to be getting the ball more than you are. So now that he's in Detroit, he's going to get an opportunity to continue to show the talent that he did when Westbrook and Durant were injured, with some more, continued playing time and get some starts and get more touches to the ball and that kind of stuff. The other guy they picked up, welcome home, Tayshaun Prince. They did give up Jonas Jerebko and Gigi Tatum to the Celtics for that. Jerebko is playing great for the Celtics right now. Tatum is another nice guy for them to have off their bench. But it seems like a lot of players near the end of their career, they like to go home. Again, Kevin Garnett would be an example as well, with him going back to the Timberwolves kind of thing. So Prince is another good veteran guy to have on your team. Obviously he's happy to be playing back in Detroit. That's where he played the majority of his career when he started in the league. So it's nice to have him back. So Jackson is averaging 15.3 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, and 6.8 assists. And then Prince is, chipping in with his 6 points per game and 3.7 boards, that kind of thing. So they're both contributing and making an impact, which is great. Looking at other guys they have on their team, Caldwell Pope and Andre Drummond are the two I'm going to mention first, just because those guys were both born in '93. So these guys are only 21, 22 years old, so they're still really, really young. They're starters. Last night, Drummond had 14 points, 21 boards, and Caldwell Pope is a solid player. He's averaging 12.2 points per game, 3.1 boards, and 1.2 assists. So a young player you can build around. Drummond is definitely a guy you can build around. He's averaging a double-double this season with 13 points per game and 13.2 boards per game. And then another big guy you can also build around, of course, is Greg Monroe. He was just born in 1990, so still another young guy, 24 years old. Last night he had 24 points and 9 boards. He's also averaging a double-double this season. It's about 16 points per game and 10 boards per game kind of thing. So, Drummond and Monroe are solid guys to have down low. They're young guys. You can build your team around them. Same with Caldwell Pope, another young guy. Brandon Jennings obviously is a great starter for your team. He puts in his 15 points per game and his 6.5 assists average for the season, which is great. And then you have guys off your bench that can make an impact and are good bench players, with Jody Meeks and Tolliver and Caron Butler, who's turning 35 on Friday. So early happy birthday to Caron Butler. Again, they don't produce the numbers, obviously. Like Jody Meeks puts in, 11.5 points per game. Tolliver is 7.3 points per game and 3.3 rebounds. And then Caron Butler is 5.4 at 5 points and 2.7 rebounds. So obviously they're bench guys. They're not going to be putting in 20 plus points per game for sure. But they're veterans in the league. They're good guys to have on your team, especially when two of your starters are 21 years old, with Caldwell Pope and Drummond. So we'll see what they do this off season with free agency. If Reggie Jackson can stick around, I think you have a solid starting five. If Prince can still play after this upcoming season, if your starting five was Caldwell Pope, Andre Drummond, Brandon Jennings, Greg Monroe, and Reggie Jackson, that's a solid starting five. Tayshaun Prince, your number six guy off the bench. That'd be a great six off the bench, for sure. And then, Caron Butler, Jody Meeks, Tolliver, all those guys kind of thing, they stick around on the bench, give you some veteran presence. I think they have the opportunity and the talent to get there. Obviously, this season doesn't show that with their record for sure, but they have a young team. And so you have to expect that. There's going to be growing pains. You're going to have to let them develop. Like I said, with Garnett going to the Timberwolves, they got a young team, so their record isn't that great, but they're going to need time to develop as well. So, give Drummond, give Caldwell Pope, give Monroe, give these guys time to develop, and in 2 or 3 years, I think they'll be competing in the Central with the Cavs and the Bulls and the Bucks as well as the Pacers. They're the only team in their whole Central division that aren't currently having a playoff spot. The Pistons are the only one in the whole division that aren't. But that just shows that the East is a weak conference compared to the West, for sure. Teams with teams with sub 500 levels are going to make the playoffs in the East, and teams with above 500 records aren't going to make the playoffs in the West. That's just the way it is. So the Pistons can easily, if you can have a 35 to 40 win season, the Pistons could easily make the playoffs. And like I said, 12 wins in their last 19 games, going 12-7, going to be tricky when they only have 8 home games, especially when the Cavs and the Bulls and the Bucks and the Pacers and all those teams are going to keep pushing to get those 7th and 8th seeds, and that's where the Pistons would sneak in if they were to turn the last 20 games of their season around and have a great record. Then they might squeak in with the 8th seed. But I think it'd be better for them to just work on the talent you have, get a decent, hopefully get a decent top 15 pick, top 10 pick in the draft, depending on how the lottery works out. Get another young guy to build and develop around, kind of thing, like a point guard or something like that, because you got Drummond and Monroe have down low taken care of with your power forward and your center position, so maybe they can find someone to complement Caldwell Pope nicely, or a good guy that you can develop and have come off your bench, kind of thing. So we'll see what they do with the draft and how that works, but they have had recent success. They're 3-time NBA champs. They won the championship in 89 and 90, and then most recently back in 04. So it's only been a decade removed since they won the NBA championship. So it's not like they're been long removed from having success as a team, for sure. Especially when you look at their division, it is a tough division to play in with the Cavs and the Bulls, for sure, and the Bucks and the Pacers. They're going to chip away and try to get those 7th and 8th seeds, for sure. Especially with the Cavaliers, what they did this offseason with Kevin Love and LeBron James. Obviously, they're gonna be a tough team to beat in that division for years to come. The Bulls, obviously, when Derrick Rose is healthy and Butler is healthy, they're competitive as well, and they're difficult to beat. So you got 2 teams right there that are going to be difficult to beat for sure, but you are in the weaker conference. And next year, if you can get to 35 wins or so, you could probably sneak in at a 7th or 8th seed. So I think this season you just got to take the last 20 games, see what you have with your young guys, see how Reggie Jackson and Tayshaun Prince can mesh with these young guys, let them build some chemistry with these last 20 games. Like a lot of teams, when you do a lot of trades and big signings, like looking at Cleveland again, for example, with Kevin Love and LeBron James, they're not going to have instant chemistry. It takes about 20 games for them to get in sync with each other. So that's why you're not going to see them have fantastic records right off the start, even though they have these all-star players. So I think that's what you do with these last 20 games as a Pistons organization, is you take Reggie Jackson and Tayshaun Prince and you introduce them and you incorporate them into your lineup, and you see how they interact and mesh with your young guys in Caldwell Pope, Drummond, and Monroe, and then you look forward to next season and how you can improve with free agency, with the draft, and all of those things. It's tough to be a Detroit Pistons fan right now. I'm sure I understand that. Their last win was back on February 22nd against Washington, and like I said, they're on a 7-game losing streak right now. They had a 13-game losing streak back in December. Back in November and into December. So it's been a rough season for Pistons fans. So hang in there. You got young talent that are going to be great in this league, that are going to develop, and you're going to have a playoff contending, championship possibly contending team in the next 2 to 3 years. There's always things that you want to look at that they have improved and they have gotten better at. They're up 3.7% from the free throw line since last season, so that's good. They're down in other categories, but free throw points are easy baskets, and a lot of NBA games can come down to 2-3 points. So if you can get those easy baskets from the free throw line, you better your chances of winning. So that's definitely something you want a team to have a good free throw percentage for sure. And sometimes the big guys like Drummond and Monroe, they suck from the free throw line, from lack of a better word. But that's okay. If you're improving in the free throw line, that's great. You're getting the ball to those guys, they're getting it in. Like I said, you have two guys right there who are averaging double-doubles. You can build around those guys. So see what they can do with the draft, see what they can do with free agency, and then next year, hopefully they can make a push for the playoffs as a low seed, maybe a 6th, 7th, or 8th seed kind of thing. But they have had recent success, championship just a decade ago, and Pistons fans should be excited for the future. They got young guys here that are going to develop into great stars, and good luck to the Pistons for the last 20 games of the season. Hopefully you can get to the 30-win mark, and good luck in next season. Hopefully you can improve and continue to watch these guys develop. And I will be finishing off my Detroit week tomorrow with a look at the Red Wings of the NHL. Thanks again for watching. Bye.